board members, Bob, Mac, Roland.
Keith.
Mitch,
Who's
Keith,
it?
Mitch, Keith.
Mitch, Keith.
Monty.
And Mr. CJ's not
So
there.
far, we have a
I
four.
don't think he's
Only
on.
one that's missing is
CJ.
CJ?
Roland Kiro and
CJ.
CJ resigned. I don't think they've appointed his son yet.
Well, look, but we haven't got a letter from him. We need official notification, and then we have to do official notification to the governor and probably the senator.
Yeah. Probably a month or so before we get that straightened out.
Yeah. At least.
Okay, guys, that's it. That's all that's checked in. Let me make sure I got it right. Bob, Mac, Roland, Mitch, Keith, Marty, and myself, and Wendell,
So,
and then Ray, our attorney, Mitch, Lauren, Neil, Daniel, CPRA, and Steve.
And Drake.
Everybody was good at that? Good with the
You got it. Yeah, this is Ben with Picciolo and Associates.
okay.
Okay, good. Well, if we're all here, let's start our meeting then.
Is Neil here?
The regular board of commissioners establishment of the commission now comes to order. The secretary, please call the roll.
Ronald Colley,
Yes.
Clarence Martz, Mitch Danos,
Yes.
Roland Curall, Roland Guidry,
Here.
Bob Falk,
Here.
McNeely Rome,
Here.
Keith Guidry,
Here.
Monty Vegas.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Okay, seeing as CJ is not here, we'll dispense with the pledge of allegiance. Approval of the minutes. You've been provided a big copy of the minutes of the April 15th meeting. Your wishes, gentlemen.
I move this, Keith.
Motion to approve. Get the name when you make the motion. Roland Gidley. Moved by Roland, seconded by Monty.
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, special meeting of April the 30th. I need a motion.
I move this, Keith.
Who's this?
Keith.
Keith?
Yep.
Keith, you'll have to turn up your volume, Doug. I can
Oh,
hardly.
come sit by Wendell.
Moved by Keith, seconded by Roland Gidley. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, we have no, I have no report. Nobody here from the audience for comments. So, Wendell, do your general manager's report.
All right, we're going to do a slide presentation for the Zoom, but we're not Zooming, so I'm going to go past that. We have to get a vote for the agenda. We received from the state the new contract for the auditor, and so first to put on the agenda, we need a vote to approve putting the auditor's contract on the agenda.
Okay, we need a motion to amend the agenda to add this on our annual audit as required by the state. We need a voice vote, hand vote on that.
Roll call.
A roll call vote.
Roll call.
Y'all ready?
No, you ready?
Roland Curall, Ronald Colley, Clarence Martz is
Yes.
out. Okay.
Yes.
Mitch Danos,
Yes.
Roland Curall is absent. Roland Guidry,
Yes.
Bob Falk,
Yes.
McNeely Rome,
Yes.
Keith Guidry,
Yes.
Monty Vegas.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
So, okay.
Now, yeah, so we need a motion to accept the recommendation from the state of hiring Griffin and Furman, LLC, auditors for the years 2020 through 2022.
2022?
Yeah, from the years 2020 through 2022.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen, is there a motion? Moved by Ray, second by Mitch. Mac moved, Mitch second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
There's a lot of twos, 220 to 222. If it was February the 2nd, we'd be in serious trouble. Okay. The lock operations agreement with the Port Commission, which they provide $200,000 to pay the salaries for our lock operators. I just want to report to you all that they have gone through with the agreement. We need a motion to accept the agreement.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the general manager. You've heard the recommendation of the general manager to accept the operations agreement with the Greater Lafourche Port Commission. Your wishes, gentlemen, moved by Bonnie, seconded by Bob. And you all good people too, Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Yeah, I wanted to make everyone aware we received an after the fact permit. This is involved with the work we've been doing at the La Rose floodgate, where we actually have replaced some eye walls that the court does not approve of with an eye wall that they do approve of. Yet they said that we have not gotten the proper permit to get the job done. But we're working with them and our engineer providing information for them to accept after the fact permit, which is all good. We do not believe they will come in and try to tear down the improvements that we made. Levee construction techniques in progress. We worked with Joe Picciola to explain to people in a way, it's not in an engineering way, but more in a layman's way of understanding the techniques and the standards that we use to build the project, which don't fit the new core standards, but we know are improving our situation. I think we've sent those out to all of our board members. If there's anybody else who wants or needs a copy or comments about how we're doing things and not quite core approved, we could send them a copy of that thing. But Joe did a real good job on it, and I think it explains us building our system that is working pretty well. Through the years, we've been, especially the last 5 years, we've spent about $20 million in construction, more than the state has provided. They haven't even provided dollar for dollar. We think if we got a legislative advisor who's in Baton Rouge and could kind of help us get some of the money that we think we deserve. Also with the watershed projects coming along and that program, which I believe there's $1.3 billion that has come down from the federal government to Baton Rouge to take care of that. We have money in there asking to help pay for the lock and La Rose. So I've talked to one legislative advisor that's willing to do the work for $5,000 a month. She asked for a 2-year contract, but we could get out of the contract. Either person. We can get out, or they can get out at any time. So I'll just put this for discussion if we think we ought to do that. But I told her at a year would probably be closer to what we would take a look at, and then maybe go longer from there. So I just wanted to know your opinion on dealing with that issue.
Gentlemen, any comment? Now wait a minute, that's the legislature advice, and that would be cancelable by mutual consent on either side of the party?
Yes, that's how we do the contract, and do just 1 year, not to encourage, we're going to play this by ear, month by month. If we don't see we're getting our money's worth, we'll just shut it down. But if we have some success, it could mean a few $1 billion for us.
And that's $5,000 per month, the cost of $60,000 per year.
Right, and she could pull out at any time, or we could pull out at any time.
Sounds good.
Gentlemen, you have any comment on this?
This is really good. It's about time that we do something directly for us.
Right. You're right. There's been a whole-scale change in the legislature, and people that we had that were working for us and knew the situation are no longer there.
And the misfortune with Reggie is also a factor in doing that, helping to get our message across.
That's right. Okay, gentlemen, we need a motion to approve this.
I move this.
I move. Monty.
Moved by Monty, seconded by Keith. Under discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
All right, the Grand Bayou Flood Control Project, we have a couple of amendments to the agreements that we have involving our professional agreements. That's to ensure that there's money set aside for them to do their work. It involves both GIS for one amendment and Aptum for the other, so we'll take them, I guess, one by one. We have talked to Terrebonne, Levee, and Mitch, and they have agreed that we should do this. So I guess we look at an amendment number one for inspection of winches for the amendment for the GIS professional agreement.
Okay, recommendation of our general manager along with the Terrebonne Levee District approval and their engineers approval. The gentlemen, your wishes. Second by Roland Gibbons. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And then, as I mentioned, the other agreement is with Aptum. It's about additional services and reimbursable expenses as they end their part of the work with the Grand Bayou Flood Control. So we need a motion and a second on that also.
Please hear the recommendation of the engineers, your wishes, or our general manager, your wishes. Second by Bob. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Anything else, Wendell?
That's all I have.
Okay, engineer reports. Sorry, Daniel.
Yes, just a quick update, Wendell, on some agreements. Not much from that big, but just saying that we're still waiting on the final internal review to complete on that amendment for the T-154 agreement that's going to allow that funding of the Golden Meadow Pump Station flood wall. To serve project management. That's still in the final review. I think it's formalities at this point, but then the second one is still reviewing internally the Go Mesa agreement for D-South Crawfish Farm flood wall. I think it's $1 million. Anyway, just wanted to give that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any questions of Daniel? Thank you, Daniel. Moving on to project engineers, Pacioli Associates. Ben?
This one on the Rose Floodgate Improvement and Protection, Phase 5, steel A-frame wall and concrete eye wall. Sea level is complete with the project. All that remains is a few minor portions of height. We have on the agenda today the certificate of substantial completion. We need approval of that item.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of our engineers to accept the pay request of approve the pay request of of $128,052.40 and the certificate of substantial completion by sea level. No wish, gentlemen.
That's Keith. I move.
Moved by Keith, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the next one.
On levee section, east-south shaping and grading, Phase 2, lowland construction is currently on site, placing material in the levee section. They've got approximately 10,000 linear feet and we recommend that it be paid.
Ben, you said 10,000 feet, how much is left?
That's about 40% of the job.
20%?
That's about 40% is complete, but they're probably more like 60% done because there's probably another 4,000 to 5,000 feet that has at least one lift of material on it.
And when do you expect think it's going to be complete?
I would say another 3 months.
Okay. Should be okay for
Probably
next
in
Thursday.
Right.
Okay, good. So you've heard the recommendations of our engineers, gentlemen, your wishes.
Back.
Motion back. Seconded by Keith.
Second roll.
Second roll. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of paying the lowland pay request number 5 in the amount of $57,000 for stage 2. Your witness vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, next.
Levee section E North levee improvements. Grand Isle Shipyard is the contractor for that project. We held the pre-construction meeting on May 4th, and the notice to proceed was issued today. So they will start their initial construction layout this week and start excavating sometime in the very near future. On levee section D South, SBL Construction is the contractor on that project. They're currently working on excavating and hauling the material and placing it on the protected side berm. Contractor has submitted a pay application number 2 in the amount of $29,339.07, and we recommend that be paid.
Gentlemen, you heard the recommendation of our engineers to pay SBL request of $29,379.07. Moved by Bob. Seconded by
Second by Monty.
Monty. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Ben.
On levee section D South, the grading and shaping portion of that project, we received 3 quotes on that project, and SBL Construction LLC was the low bidder in the amount of $100,000. The contract was signed and recorded, and the notice to proceed was issued on Wednesday, May the 6th. And he's already begun placing that material on top of the crown.
We had a section at that special meeting the other day, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Levee section F, the field surveying is complete. Project plans are complete for the crown improvements, and we sent that to CPRA for their review and approval. Levee section 8 East, the field surveying is complete, and we begin the project plans soon. Go-to-metal pump station flood wall preliminary plans are complete. We're just waiting on agreement to be signed between CPRA and the levee district. Once that agreement is signed, then we can proceed with advertising for bids.
When do you think we'll be ready to do that? Do you have any idea?
It's as soon as CPRA sends Wendell a contract. Wendell, do you have any additional information on that?
No, that's what Daniel was kind of mentioning. We had the information out. It's been a few months. Once they give us a word, we can get started. Just waiting for it to send it back.
Yeah, this is Daniel. I was trying to get that time estimate earlier. I didn't get that answer yet, but that's where we're at.
Okay, and that's all I have to report.
Any questions of Ben? Thank you, Ben. Moving
You're
on to
welcome.
GIS.
Right, good afternoon. This is Laura Barnes. Got our reports for today. The first project I have to report on is the Lafourche water level control. We are still waiting on the permit from the Corps and have scheduled the topographic surveys for this project to begin at the end of May. The second project, yes.
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can I ask you a question? So
Okay.
When do you plan to retire?
To retire? Are you encouraging me to retire?
No. The reason I'm asking you, I'm wondering if you think we'll actually have that permit.
Is this to be here? We've got our fingers crossed.
Over 10 years now we've been working on this permit.
Yes. John was talking about this to be here.
How do you sense it's moving along or it's just stuck?
Yeah, I believe we got comments back and addressed those, and I think John was saying this could be, any time now we could get the permit. So, yeah, I know. They've been saying that since when? 2008?
1980.
Okay, Laura, thank you, man.
But yeah, I'll see if I can get a kind of a firmer timeline on that for you.
You're new in the project, and it'll take some time to.
I did get the 2008 update. Gosh. Okay. All right. So the next one, due south flood wall. We're continuing to work on the final design of that. The unbalanced loads calculated from Geotech were quite a bit higher than we originally anticipated, which increased the cost of construction on that. So I know John and Wendell have had conversations on this, and so we decided to limit this project to just elevating the two steel sheet pile walls that are flanking the existing concrete T-wall. So we're going to do those up to elevation 18. And we anticipate having that ready to advertise for bids at the end of this month.
Okay.
All right. The next one, any questions on that one?
I have none. Anybody else got questions?
Okay.
Move on, Laura.
All right, so Grand Bayou Floodgate, we had the pre-bids last Thursday for both of those projects. It's now separated into the Floodgate one contract, receiving structure, and flood wall for the other contract. We had great turnout for both of those pre-bids. The bid openings are scheduled for next Tuesday. And just a note that all of the original bidders were still interested and did participate in the pre-bids that we had last week. So that was promising. Just one more that John had given me an update but is not on this list. For the D North ramp, we completed the topographic survey of the project site and are putting the plans and specs together. We anticipate advertising this one for bids at the end of June.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Yes.
Would you do us a favor? Would you present us with a written report prior to the meeting like most of the other engineering firms do so that we can go along with you and follow along with what you have? All I have right here is 3 items and just headings. That's it.
Gotcha. Sure will.
Then, and have it there before the meeting so we can have it with our meeting notes.
Okay.
Okay, but take a hold of it. Anybody?
Make sure to hold the punch.
Make sure to what?
All right.
Any questions of Laura?
All the holes are punched.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Because Ron always wants a punch.
All right, so on the B-Town levee improvement, this is from Baseball down to the Golden Meadow Park. That contractor is Sponsor Train Partners. They're continuing to wrap up construction, and we are recommending approval of their pay request number 34 in the amount of $57,000.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineers to pay Sponsor Train Partners pay request number 34 in the amount of $57,000. Your wishes, gentlemen.
Matt move.
Who's that?
Mac.
Mac move. Rolling second, okay. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. we've been looking at with the Levee District, which is going to involve a plug behind the Levee District's office, and also some excavation on that island on the south side of the project across the canal from the Golden Meadow Park. This would add to the previously negotiated price another $126,000, and it's at the $3 per cubic yard price for 42,000 cubic yards. We're recommending approval of this additional work. And I don't know, Wendell, do you have any additional comments on that?
Yeah. I checked the budget, and because we're not going to get another machine there in a while, a big machine, and if we miss it, then that stuff is there. $3 a cubic yard is a good price. So I was, again, we've got enough room in the budget to handle that extra cost.
Okay.
Okay, based on the recommendations of our engineers and our general manager, to approve an additional $160,000 worth of concentrate parts. Your wishes, gentlemen.
I move Roman Q.
Moved by Roman Q. Roll,
Come on.
seconded by
Bob.
Bob. Okay. Your wishes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Wendy.
All right, the next project is the South Levee improvement. This is from the Basehall Pump Station going north to the beginning of the south side of Apache Farm. Bids were received on April 9th. That was previously reviewed and approved at the last regular meeting. That base bid plus alternate bid number 1 has been awarded to Grand Isle Shipyard LLC in the amount of $1,523,004.21. Contracts for this project are currently being signed, and we anticipate having a pre-construction meeting in the next week to get the project kicked off.
Okay.
And the last project I have to report on is Morganza to the Gulf Reach L. We are still waiting on the final budget for this project, which I think is going to be pending the bids that are being received next week on the Grand Bayou project. So as soon as we have the final budget, we're ready to plug that into our various scenarios that we've come up with and come up with some type of levee improvement to go from the west side of Apache Farm all the way to Grand Bayou, including beginning of some work hopefully on the Bayou de la Blue structure.
Okay. Any questions of Neil? Thank you, Neil.
All right, thank you.
Move on to Delta Consultants. Mitch?
Hey, I have nothing really to report. Stevie's going to give you an update on K and the mitigation project. I did want to thank Wendell and Ray's help last week for one of the issues we addressed with the bid law, and that's all I have unless you guys have questions for me.
I have none. Anybody has questions? No. Okay, Mitch, thank you. Move on to Stevie, All South Consultants.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stevie Smith. I have a couple of projects to report on. The first one is Reach K levee rehabilitation. We got a couple of different things going on Reach K. The first thing is at the lowest end of Reach K, very close to Punisham, we are hauling dirt onto that project area, the lowest 2,000 feet of levee. That hauling of material began on April 21st. And the contractor, which is Lowland, has hauled about roughly 5,000 cubic yards as of the time I provided the report to the board. That work has been going pretty well, particularly because it's been pretty dry in the last couple of weeks. In the last few days, we've kind of changed what Lowland was doing for us, and it's related to the next bullet in my report. The board may recall that this board declared an emergency last month for the remainder of the Reach K reshaping project. After the board meeting last month, we quickly solicited bids from 3 contractors, Lowland, Sea Level, and Onshore, for the reshaping of the lowest roughly 2 miles of Reach K. Unfortunately, all the bids we received were over our budget, and so we negotiated with the lowest bidder, which was Lowland Construction, to try and get the project into an amount and a posture that we could afford, which we did. We ended up negotiating with Lowland for a project project that has a value of roughly $1.12 million. That project is going to, again, improve the lowest roughly 2 miles of Reach K, primarily by moving material that's already on the bank down there in that lower part of Reach K, up and down the levee, to fill in some low spots. The areas where we don't have to move material, we're going to shape it in place. And we really tried to, after the bids came in and we were out of our budget, we really tried to work with the lowest responsible bidder to minimize the movement of material up and down the levee and try and shape as much of it in place as possible. We have done that, as I mentioned, and we executed a construction contract with Levee on Friday for roughly $1.12 million project. The board had already taken action authorizing the award of the project to the lowest bidder, and so no further board action was necessary to execute that contract. And Levee has started work. Levee started work out there basically today to start work on this project. So that's a good bit of ground, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if you or some of the board members have further questions on that. But the long story short is we were able to negotiate with the lowest bidder to get a project that we could afford to get started right away.
Good.
If there are no questions on that one, Mr. Chairman, I'll move on to the other project, which is our marsh creation project. Again, the Levee Board has been constructing about 50 acres of marsh close to the Apache farm for the last few months. That project is literally basically complete as of today. The dredge company has been pumping material for a couple of months, but I think they finished literally this afternoon based on the report I got from my inspector. It looks like that project has been completed successfully. They paused the dredging a little bit in March because they had to do some surveys, in April, because they had to do some surveys to determine what the elevations were. After we looked at the surveys with the contractor, we instructed them to get back out there and do a little bit more pumping. And again, which they have completed literally today. The site's gonna de-water over the next certainly a few weeks, if not a month. The contractor is going to have to degrade some containment dikes that surround the marsh creation area, and then we're going to allow it to naturally vegetate. So within the next 30 days, that project will be not only practically complete, but will be complete. That concludes. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Coastal dredging. Yeah, they've done these type of jobs. They've done some jobs, I think, for you guys before, and they've done these types of jobs all over the state. Very good contractor.
Okay. Anything else, Steve?
That's it?
Is that okay? Good. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Stevens? Okay, we'll move on to legal permits and rights of way.
Okay, we have one from the DOTD for the month of May, and after reviewing this, looking for the board to approve this permit.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation and the motion by the permit Chairman Mitch that we approve this contract, this permit to the DOTD. I need a second.
D.
Second. Second. Okay, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Attorney, we have anything to bring to us?
Randall, do you want to address the board about the bill that's going to be coming before the legislature that you and Reggie?
Well, I'll start off and you finish it off. But basically, you remember we had the issues with liquidated damages and the problems with the road work that we did with the gate at LA1. And Byron Talbot, with liquidated damages, we had to negotiate out because of a judgment that was made in the New Orleans area with a school and a contractor. Well, because of that judgment, we had to kind of settle out. But on that same day, there was another judgment that went just the opposite. And so we got with Reggie and Terrebonne, and we said, look, we got to get the little bidder every time. And the only time we can force them, the only way we can force them to do things on time is to have liquidated damages. So we brought that to the legislature, and with some negotiations that again Ray and Jacob, the Gate, and Reggie working together, and Mitch came up with some legislation that actually passed through the committee that Jerome Zarang was chairman of, and we had total support. But in trying to make the bill and the change as good as possible, Ray has continued to negotiate with Reggie and with the Gate and people on the contractor side, and they've come up with a really good bill that I think strengthens our position on getting liquidated damages, and will solve the problem that we had to deal with. Ray, you want to add some more to it?
Yeah, liquidated damages have always been governed by the contract between the public body and the contractor. It's never been provided for in statutory law. So what we are doing currently, we are going to be in the public contract law. We are going to be including in the definitional section a definition for liquidated damages, and we're also revising a statute and adding language and I'll just read it to you. It's very short. It basically would provide a public entity letting a public works contract, as per the terms of the contract, may withhold from the contractor liquidated damages from any payments or money due the contractor as the contract term has expired and all approved time extensions have been granted by the public entity. The problem we were experiencing is, or we experienced for the first time ever, and it was brought up in this particular project by Byron Talbot's attorney, Mr. Murphy Foster, Governor Foster's son, who's an attorney in Baton Rouge, has represented the Contractors Association before. They raised this Fourth Circuit case that basically ruled that even though you can assess liquidated damages, you can't hold any money back. You got to give it all to the contractor, and they file suit against them to chase your money down and get those liquidated damages back. That's not the way it has ever happened, ever. And even the representative for the Louisiana Contractors Association, Mr. Ken Narcan, in our discussions admitted in the last 30, 40 years, this is the way it's always been done. Unfortunately, the argument was made based on this Fourth Circuit case. And then, as Wendell said, on the same day we were negotiating to try to resolve this, the First Circuit came down with a decision that did not follow the First Circuit case. So now you have a split in the circuit opinion. And the only way it would be resolved is if that First Circuit case, which just came down on March 2nd, if writs were taken to the Louisiana Supreme Court. And typically, if they did take a writ, it would be granted, because one of the reasons that the Supreme Court decides to grant a writ is when there's a conflict between two circuits. We have 5 Circuit Court of Appeals in Louisiana. We're in the First Circuit. The other case involved the Orleans Parish School Board, which is the Fourth Circuit. So there's a conflict. And so in our discussions with Reggie and Mitch and Wayne and Jason, Wendell and Jason and myself, were we going to go ahead and take the chance that, leave it up to the Supreme Court to rule? We haven't been getting the best decisions out of the court. So,
delivery and free rides to medical.
I'm sorry? So we decided to address it legislatively, and everyone agreed, and we've had some negotiations back and forth because the Louisiana Levee District Association is involved, the Louisiana Contractors Association is involved, and we've also learned that the Contractors Association is kind of working behind the scenes politically to protect their interests. So I believe we worked out a very good compromise. We actually finished working out the language this morning, and so we believe that bill's going to go forward, not going to have any objections from the Contractors Association. And then we'll have a law on the book specifically addressing liquidated damages and the right of the public body to withhold those damages. as opposed to paying it and having to then try to get it back. So I think we've got a good compromise, and it's going to, serve the public bodies and the contractors well in addressing these issues that arise concerning liquidated damages. That's all that.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Any questions? Okay, we'll move over to Finance Committee. Monty?
Okay, Finance Committee reviewed invoices and recommends they be paid as presented.
Monty, let me ask you a question. Have you been receiving a report from the parish on the collection of the sales taxes, giving a monthly report on that?
No, I haven't.
Larry, would you, I assumed you were guessing. Larry, would you contact the girl who takes care of that and be sure that Marty is furnished with a copy of this?
Sure will.
You understand what I said?
Yes.
Yeah, Mary heard. Yeah, and we sent that, that report in your packet to kind of show y'all what happened after 2014 to 2019 and what we can expect this year. Because we lost about a quarter of our income through those from those taxes. But
she sends me a copy of it every month. I just assumed Monty was getting it also. As big chairman of the Finance Committee, I mean, that's part of his committee. Would you see that you guess that? Okay, thank you. You've heard the motion of the committee chairman, Monty, seconded by Keith, that we accept the finance report as presented. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Anything else, Mike?
No, not the Finance Committee. That's it, Mr. President.
Personnel Committee.
Okay, the Personnel Committee, we hired 2 summer helps, which we do every year, and I think the board already approved that hire. But I just want to let the board know we found 2 people to fill those positions, and that has been done. Second thing on the what I'd like to come over is we updated the drug testing policy. Basically, the drug testing policy, the verbiage has been changed a little bit. Give a more accurate test that's fair to the employees and also fair to the Levee district. So I'm looking for a motion to approve those changes in our drug testing policy.
The recommendations of the Personnel Committee to approve the changes that he has delineated to the drug testing policy. I need a second.
Keith?
Bob.
Second by Bob. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, old business. New business. Business. Yeah, need a motion, gentlemen.
I move this, Keith.
I move.
Moved by Bob, second by Monte. Moved to adjourn. All the favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. We'll adjourn.